shall we?
This year's marching band, the 2013 version of the Pride of Dixie. I really had mixed feelings about this group going in. I wasn't sure what we were going to be able to achieve. I wasn't sure if the show that we had programmed was going to be the best show to put our best foot forward to use the talents that we had in the band. We had some turnover in the band. It was a fairly young band. Although the numbers went up slightly, we had, I believe we had the largest Pride of Dixie band we've ever had. But there were just a lot of unanswered questions going into band camp. We knew we had a lot of youth, and we were not sure how they were going to respond and how quickly they could respond. And we knew we had some challenges in the season, some things that would challenge us to be our best every weekend and to improve our performance every weekend.
Before that is 3 measures of E flat chord. Chord 2, 3, 4, stronger 2, 3, 4, stronger 2, 3, 4, step, 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 step. 2, 1, 2, ready, and down.
I think their work ethic was right there with the best Pride of Dixies there have been. This may have been the best one. They tended to be willing, always willing to work. There was just a lot of youth in the band, so there was a longer learning curve. Things took a little longer than we had anticipated, but they're always headed in the right direction. They always gave it their best effort. I never got the feeling that they just simply were not trying to put on a good performance. There were times when I felt like they just did not understand the level of concentration it requires to be in this group at a rehearsal.
All right, let's do the first. We want to review. Do the first 16 counts, which is no movement. It is all visual. Everything visual. First 16.
With the Met. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, play.
You've got to put yourself in that mindset at every rehearsal, and that takes a while to learn that. And by mid-season, they pretty much figured that out. And all of a sudden, when they kind of got their feet under them and realized what it was they were doing, then things started to take off.
Well, I think this year's percussion section was certainly a special one. I think, like any good organization, you continue to grow, you can continue to develop through years and years. And I think this one was sort of a culmination of many years of growth. And I think next year will be certainly not a rebuilding year in any sense, but it'll be starting anew of maybe a new generation of UNA percussionists. So I think this was sort of a culmination of, a generation of UNA percussionists who kind of came to light this year, and everything we've been working towards for the last 4, 5, 6 years sort of, reared its head this year.
Drums, play them, shot, shot, dum. They're going to play you what you're listening for and what you attack at half-back. Play that, drums. Snap it off, Christian.
We're going to lose, a fair amount. We've got 4 percussion majors who are graduating, and then we've got a few others who will be leaving us. But all told, there's not that many who will be losing. It's, certainly some key players, but certainly, I think there's, with 40 people in the section, there's more than enough people to, continue up the ranks and continue on the tradition.
A part of the band program which people don't often see that is so important is our director emeritus, my dad, Ed Jones, who is out there on the field with us just about every day. He's there. And the knowledge that he brings to the field surpasses what the rest of us know combined. His adherence to the basic fundamentals that make a quality band is just classic. He always says three things. You got to take equal sized steps, you got to go straight at your spot, and you got to stay directly between two people. Well, that will solve about 99% of your problems on the field as far as marching is concerned if you just do those three things. That's 52 years of teaching band. It's nice to have him out there and just to take care of business. He gets, even while we're warming up, he's painting guidelines on the field so we can march a little better. And I think in some way it keeps him young too, to be out there and be active. He still enjoys being around the students. He would never admit that, but he still enjoys being around the students.
Ripple has got to have a lot more energy to it. That last 10 counts, you got to just have blood in your eyes. You know that you're about to fool the crowd into thinking you just played the last note, and then you don't. There's more visual. To be convincing on visual, you have to do it correctly and do it with energy. Y'all don't like boring people, and we don't like boring visuals. You have to make it exciting. And the whole time, you're subdividing in your head, counting, to go bang, bang, hit, and then you got to stomp that out in time. Make sure you just pop it out there for energy. Make sure that you do everything at the right count. The drums are beating it out for you. It's hard to miss, but some of you are determined to miss it. You've got to listen to what's happening in the band at that time. Rhythm. Okay? But thank you for working hard. Some of you just don't work real fast or real long. I understand it's a lot of mess. It's going to be a very effective ending. The rain is supposed to hold off until Sunday, so we'll be putting that on the field Saturday, and then we'll play Can't Take My Eyeballs Off of It. Might be playing Can't Get My Tongue Up Off the Ground to come sing this song. You might be tired of it. Anything else? Thank you very much. Good rehearsal.
Water. Water.
What's ours?
Oh yeah, it's Judy's birthday. Dr. Jones.
Too late. We can do it tomorrow.
That's really disappointing.
Well, you three don't have to go when the other four on each side.
Yeah, we just got to figure out when we need to leave because we got there way
So we
too
can
early.
leave during the 10.
Yeah.
They can leave way before.
And they're all coming towards you during the 10.
Yeah.
And the interval's closing down, so the faster you go, the better. You may want to go on the 5 of halt right before the 10. They go bump, 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 bump. That may be where you want to take off. That ought to be right there. 1, 2, 3, there's 16 out. 4 steps off is where that might be. That was just playing the wrong place. You need to be up here. Alright, so you go China. Hard when the wind kicks. What you're doing, it really is becoming stacked in there. And that T-pole sits up on it. So it won't go anywhere. So when you pull that up, you're assured it's coming in. Roll, it'll take it a while. You run it for they want to do 30, 40 minutes extra more as opposed to 2 more hours section. Every section I've
They'll
talked to
definitely say Friday.
said they would a lot rather do a little more Friday than a lot more.
Yeah.
Because it literally, getting in Friday means a lot shorter work than Saturday.
They'll say Friday just because they'll want to get ready Saturday.
Our section leaders in general this year did a remarkable job. We had some young, new section leaders, some old vet section leaders, but they worked so well together. It was relatively a drama-free year. When drama rises to the level of the directors, that's drama. The section leaders did a great job of keeping things at bay, keeping people focused on what they needed to focus on during rehearsals, which is just the task at hand. Get down to business and let's get better at what we're doing. Our section leaders in the auxiliary did a great job. Section leaders in the woodwinds did a great job, and the brass did a great job. Section leaders in percussion did a great job. We reassigned some section leaders this year to different parts of the band, and they flourished. They did a super job. And not only were the section leaders good, but the vets in those sections did a great job of supporting their section leaders and helping lead the way. You know, there's times when section leaders get burned out and tired, and the other vets were there just to take up the slack. And then the other part of that puzzle is an excellent freshman class. We had a super freshman class. There were so many students that came in that were ready to learn, and that's what you need them to be, is teachable. They're ready to learn and ready to learn to do things the way the Pride of Dixie does things. That is valuable in a band program, people who are teachable.
Black electrical tape?
The magic elephant secret.
Is it so tight you're cutting off your circulation?
No. Then all you have to do is throw your gauntlet on. You don't have to worry about it slipping.
Okay? Okay, that's what I want to do. Okay, the other option is we take care of stuff before, then we warm up, we go straight from warm up over to there, we go straight from over there to pregame. Okay. It's up to you.
Take you to get out where you're supposed to be on the field. 32. Okay, great. You get there and you go mark, then split.
Beaton Pharmacy and Logan Pharmacy in Moulton, and Williams Clear, the official cleaner of the UNA Pride and C Marching Band.
5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6, 7, and 8. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, and banana. Down and here, up, turn 2, 3, push you go.
Please direct your attention to the north end zone, where we proudly display the American flag, and we honor America with the playing of our national anthem, Performed this evening by the Pride of Dixie.
Coming back to attention, and go. Go. Watching the hand. Ready, and. 1, 2. Parade red. Going back to parade red. Spin. Parade red.
Captains for tonight's game for the Golden Bears, number 20 is Joe Beckman. Number 95 is Brandon Smith. Number 24, Casey. The kick is up, and it is up.
We're very fortunate that we had two experienced drum majors who've been in the band for a while. They've come back for a second year as drum majors. And without a doubt, two of the hardest working people I've ever seen in the Pride of Dixie. And the neat thing about these two, it's Kella Jackson and Ethan Lawley, is they have known each other since they were kids. They actually took piano from the same teacher back to back in the afternoons after school. So they knew each other. They didn't go to the same school. They were in the same county and took from the same piano teacher. So for them to end up later in life, 15 years later, at the same university and both drum majors of the marching band, to me is just serendipitous. That just never happens. But I tell you, talk about two hard-working people, and the band knows it. That's Kella and Ethan. They would come early. They would stay late. They would do whatever it took to make sure things happened correctly. And most of the work that they did was when the band was not here. They were working before the POD ever showed up. They were working after the POD had gone home or gone out to eat after the shows. They were just still here working just to make certain things were going to be prepared for the next time we got together on Monday or Tuesday or whenever it was. We could not have achieved all the wonderful things we were able to achieve this semester without those two individuals. And I think that the whole band owes them gratitude. I'm very thankful that they were there working, because they're not just drum majors. They're a part of the staff. They really do an incredible job.
pitch called by Marshall.
We're gonna play for that.
Like
So it'll be kind of like on this track a
yeah,
little bit.
probably half on the track. Speakers will be a little farther.
Lions take over now, 1st and 10 from their own 22-yard line.
Is that video worthy? Is that?
It
gonna
looked
show up later
looked
on?
like you knew what you were talking
I'm
about.
talking instructional and logistical.
Yeah. You
theory.
acted professional almost.
Hey, I do like that.
Pass intended for Simmons falls incomplete. Brings up 3rd down.
And now, on with the show. Ladies and gentlemen, the Pride of Dixie. The Pride of Dixie. Tonight's show continues with a string of hits heard in the Cirque du Soleil productions of the Beatles Love Show, Viva Elvis, and One, the music of Michael Jackson. We'll conclude with a hit associated with the chairman of the board, Frank Sinatra.
That's her.
And now, please welcome the UNA Lioness. Due to timing restrictions, that's all we have for you tonight, but please stay tuned on September 21st for a big evening. The University of North Alabama Band is under the direction of Dr. Lloyd Jones, and Dr. Ian Moyer is the assistant director. The drum majors are Kella Jackson of Arley, Alabama, and Ethan Lally of Double Springs, Alabama.
This show, 2013 Pride of Dixie, had a lot of incarnations in the show. There were a lot of tunes that we put in, pulled out. We used snippets from different songs. We actually started out with a piece called La Filet from La Rev, which instead of actually being a Cirque du Soleil production, it's a competing show in Vegas. But it's the exact type of antics that you see in a Cirque du Soleil show, and the music is very akin to Cirque du Soleil music. It's what I call gypsy music. The tune was just out of sight. The students really delivered it well. The introduction was just full of power. And some great drill moves that really set the band up to sound good and to look good. Then it went to some great solo work by trumpeter Stephen Cook, did a good job with that. We ended up putting the mellophones into a feature section, which they really rose to the occasion, played very well. It's just a very high energy opener. And the crowd, everywhere we performed this, the crowd ate it up. They really enjoyed it. The middle of the show was quite a departure for me personally. It started with a tune that I absolutely love, Something by the Beatles, which to me is one of the most beautiful tunes ever written. Then we went into Viva Las Vegas by Elvis. And that really worked well for our majorette line. It really had a lot of energy, had a different feel from Something or the tune that followed it, which was Thriller. Now, not in a million years would I have thought we would be performing Michael Jackson music on the field. It's just not me. And there's some good tunes, but I just didn't see that fitting how we designed shows. But that was one of the most popular tunes that we've ever put in there. And that was Dr. Moyer's suggestion. Why not throw some Michael Jackson in there? Because there is a Cirque du Soleil show which centers around Michael Jackson. There's one that centers around Elvis. There's one that centers around the Beatles. So it ended up being the perfect answer. And the tune we chose, which was Thriller, within 2 notes, everybody knows what Thriller is. If you're going to play Michael Jackson, you better be able to put it across. You have to do it convincingly, and they did. And we used the highlighted parts of that song, the most catchy parts. Our arrangement actually was derived from a Jay Bocook arrangement that he had written for the Cadets a few years ago. It was the summer after Michael Jackson passed away, so that was a piece that they played just as an audience piece. And had some really nice licks, some really good layering in there. We featured our color guard in that portion. They did a fine job of that. And it just really was kind of a breath of fresh air. Well, the third portion, we had a little Frank Sinatra sneak in there just simply because I can't do a Vegas show and not have some Frank in there. It's too synonymous. But it was really, again, a departure for us. We went back to a solo section and a slow section. Aaron Lovelady provided the trumpet licks on this transition, and the band had punches, and we brought out 5 of our older Lionettes, our veteran Lionettes, to do some dancing instead of bringing out the entire group at one time. And so it was a very different transition for us. And then that was based on Look Be a Lady Tonight, and that went into Can't Buy Me Love by the Beatles, and the two tunes fit together perfectly and really became a great vehicle for the Lionettes. It would bounce between Can't Buy Me Love and Luck Be a Lady Tonight. They worked great together, and that idea came from Jack Albert, one of our former members who now teaches in our state, great assistant director over there at Sparkman High School. I just told Jack, just play around with this. When he was writing some percussion parts for it, I said, play around with it, see what you come up with. That's what he came up with, and I just thought it was great. And so we kept it. I shortened it a little bit and just made it fit what we needed it to do in the show, but the idea came right from Jack Albert. We called it Pursuit and Incantation. The Pursuit material, actually the percussion feature material, was set up a little differently. Again, we used no transition material from the winds. We started right into the percussion feature, used more sound effects than we've ever used, which really brought people's attention to what in the world is that? Where's it coming from? It's coming from the front, so they looked at the percussion. We used some background ambience type of chords with the horn section and some punches, but really put that percussion section up front and center, gave them more drill, more things to focus on, and kind of just let the horn line and the auxiliaries, let them be the backdrop. Let them kind of move out of the way. That worked very well. And then the transition into incantation worked really super well. The students grabbed onto that quickly. The silent drill moves into the big park and bark punch, that was incredibly effective. And auxiliaries were well written in there. We used some big streamers this year. We called them the T-pole streamers. I think that phrase T-pole will, from now on, will be listed as a curse word in Webster's dictionary, according to our auxiliary girls. Those were a little hard to handle. They were very effective, lots of color, looked great on the field. And the young ladies that carried those out and ran with those up in the air, they had a job to do, especially on a windy day. That was a job. But they did a great job with that. The ending of the show was one of the best that we've ever put on the field.
Alright, give me all the stuff.
What are you gonna do on the street? Right here. This is after. This is so fun. So fun. So fun. So fun. So fun.
Well, I think after being here for 7 years, serving the Pride of Dixie and along with all those other 222 people, we couldn't ask to end our season in a better way. This is the Pinnacle, the championship among marching bands. We're just blessed that we had the opportunity to show high school students what we have at UNA.
I think we've been working hard the whole time we've been here to do something like this. I think that the Pride of Dixie always has had such a standard of excellence that we needed this kind of challenge. We needed to know that we're not good enough just stepping out on the field at band camp. We have to work hard just like everybody else, and I'm really excited to have my last performance doing this. It's going to be a really great experience.
Pacing 2013 Drumline Battle. That winner is the University of North Alabama.
Well, you know, I just think, I mean, it's really, if it's not once in a lifetime, it's certainly not many times in a lifetime that you get to go and you get to be a band who performs at BOA Grand Nationals. You get to be a percussion ensemble that gets invited to play at Pacing. That doesn't happen all the time. It really doesn't. So, you know, it's one of those things. It's a special year, and you have to be, I think the students were very professional in the way that they handled themselves, and I think they knew it was a special year, and really from the beginning of percussion rehearsals, beginning of band camp, really, you know, had one goal in mind, and that was to bring the Pride of Dixie to Indianapolis and have a great showing. So.
Our program. The show this evening is entitled Viva and takes us on a musical journey through the Cirque du Soleil Las Vegas Productions. Ladies and gentlemen, the Pride of Dixie.
Well, the big benefit of doing a high-profile show like that is just the exposure for the school and for the band program. People up there in that neck of the woods may have heard of the University of North Alabama, may have heard of the Pride of Dixie, but they've not seen these students perform. And they made quite an impression when they performed. Now, we had one of the earliest performance slots that you can have. Well, we're the new kid on the block. That's what we're going to get. But those people that saw it were still talking about it when we left. I've had numerous alumni who were up there tell me that there were people back at the concession stands talking about it. There were people in the restrooms talking about it. I don't know what the capacity. There were people just in the tunnels talking about it. They're all talking about, did you see that North Alabama band? Well, that means it made an impression on a lot of folks. Now, the executive director found me on the sidelines and said, look, we've got to bring y'all back on a Friday or Saturday next year. The Friday night slot is when everyone's there and finds out who made the Saturday show. The Saturday slot is when it's anywhere from 17 to 25 bands, when they find out who made the finals. So you get great crowds at both of those. And it just so happens we're open that weekend next year. So our goal will be able to go back and to set that place on fire one more time.
On with the show. Dixie. Today's show continues with a string of hits heard in the Cirque productions of the Beatles, Elvis, Michael Jackson, and Frank Sinatra. And now, please welcome the UNA Lionettes. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a great pleasure to perform for you this season, and we sincerely hope you've enjoyed our final regular season performance. To close this afternoon's show, we feature the UNA drumline and the entire cast on a brand new special arrangement of the Viva Finale. now turn our attention to Love Country and those who serve. Please direct your attention to the north end zone, where you will see a joint combined color guard comprised of members of the American Legion Post 11 in Florence, Alabama, and members of the UNA Army ROTC program. Represented are Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard. We now ask that all of our military members, both veteran and active, stand to be recognized as the band performs what has become a Pride of Dixie tradition, the Battle Hymn Chorale.
One aspect of the show that was a little different and innovative this year was Ian Moyer took on a little bit bigger role as in forming that closer. He actually set all of that up, wrote in some of those horn parts so we'd have a feel of what we needed there, and just did a remarkable job. The key to all that was making our marching band percussion feature also work as some clinic material, also work as some indoor drumline material, and being able to draw from aspects of our show and put all that together. And what do you know? They went up there and kicked a little tail and won the drum battle. So all that worked well, and all that started with Dr. Ian Moyer kind of conceiving how all that needed to work together. So I just feel like he did a really fine job of that and pulling in different motifs from different areas and using different material from different writers, putting all that together and forming a really cohesive percussion feature. It really came off well. You know, Ethan and Kella are both members of Tau Beta Sigma. Our president of Tau Beta Sigma this year was Evan Curtis, great French horn player. That group has never run more efficiently and been more valuable to this band than they were this year. They were here early before band camp working on things. Every week they handled the uniforms. They handled goodie bags for our band. They even organized to have goodie bags for visiting bands, whether it be another university band that was here or a visiting high school band. We had more of those this year than we've ever had, and they always had something there for those students. There was never one time when I sent out a text or a Facebook message that said, you know, we need some people here to help do this or that. Can we get a crew? Bang, within 10 minutes, there they were. They were ready to go. And that's just not Evan, but that shows the type of great leadership we have in Tau Beta Sigma.
Diva.